Hello Year 1 and welcome back to lesson 3 of our new history topic. Last lesson we looked at creating a timeline of things that have happened in our lifetime and also before our lifetime. So here was mine. So on mine I've got Nan was born, Mum was born, Tom, my older brother, was born, I was born, I went to school and I went to university. So I have just placed them in order, so chronological order in the time that they happened. What I haven't done is put any scale of when they actually happened. So the distance, the time between my Nan being born and my mum being born was not the same amount of time between my mum being born and my brother being born. So what I have done to show you the actual scales is put them on a proper timeline where I have gone up in tens of the years. So I've gone from 1940 up in 10, so 1950, 1960, all the way up to 2021. So now you can see that they are a bit more spread out and some things are a bit closer together. So my timeline starts all the way back in 1940, so almost 81 years ago to when my Nan was born. And then we jump forward to 1967. So that is 27 years later. So that gap there is 27 years to when my mum was born. And then we jump forward again. So my mum was born in 1967. And then in 1990, my oldest brother Tom was born. So then we've jumped forward there. But then this time we've only jumped forward 5 years to when I was born in 1995. So it's a much smaller gap. And then another 4 years later, I went to school. So I went to school in 1999, and then we've got a little bit of a bigger jump to 2013 when I went to university. So it's a bit more, some bits are more spread out, and you can tell which things are closer together because they have got a smaller gap between them, whereas the things that are further apart have got a bigger gap between them. So if you haven't already guessed by now, our new topic is about something called the Great Fire of London. Has anybody ever heard of the Great Fire of London before? Some of you might have, some of you might have spoken about it at home. Well, it is something that happened 355 years ago. 355 years ago. That is a really, really long time. And to show you a scale of how long ago it was, I've put it on my timeline. But what I've had to do is make my timeline really, really tiny. So now the gap between Nan being born and Mum being born looks really small. And the gap between Nan being born and the Great Fire of London is humongous. Because the Great Fire of London happened in 1666. 1666, that is so long ago, 355 years. A very, very long time. So what we are going to do today is complete our timeline of the events of the Great Fire of London. So we are going to be zooming in at some different points throughout this unit through different parts of the Great Fire of London and key people and key places. But today we're going to look at an overview of the whole Great Fire. And it's called the Great Fire of London, meaning a big fire of London, as opposed to a really good thing, because it wasn't such a good thing when a whole city is burned down. So what we are going to do is do our timeline together. So you should have your sheet printed out, either this one if you've decided you are going to do some writing, and then for the rainbow group or some others, if you've chosen to, you've got this one where you haven't got the gap for the writing, but you've got the gap for the pictures. But as we do it, I am going to work on this one, so I'm going to do writing as well. So we are starting on Sunday, the 2nd of September, 1666. Have a think. What season is it in September? So September is a bit of a changeover between seasons, between summer and autumn. But we often have lovely, lovely weather in September. So in London, on Sunday, the 2nd of September, 1666, it might have been quite warm. So in the early hours of the morning, so that means around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., so after midnight, but before anybody wakes up when it's still dark, a baker called Thomas Fariner wakes up in the night to find his bakery has set alight. That means it's set on fire. and he lives on a street called Pudding Lane, which is a funny street for the name for a bakery to be on. And now you might understand why Miss Clark had you doing some baking for our first lesson. So the Great Fire of London all started in a bakery. So the first thing we are going to draw in our first box is a picture of a bakery or a picture of a baker, or you could draw some cakes if you're not feeling so adventurous. So I want you to pause the video now and draw your picture in that first box. So on mine, I have drawn a bakery with a cake in the window and a baker. And then I'm going to write a sentence in here to say about what happened. So on my sheet, I am going to write, a fire starts in a bakery on Pudding Lane. You can write the same sentence as me, or you can write something different, as long as it is saying about how the fire started. So pause the video and write your sentence. So I have finished my picture and written my sentence. I have written, a fire starts in a bakery on Pudding Lane. So that box is done. And I'm now ready to move on to my next box, which says Monday, the 3rd of September, 1666. So on Monday, the 3rd of September, the fire gets very close to the Tower of London. So this building here is called the Tower of London. And on Monday, the 3rd of September, the fire gets very close to it. So what I'm going to draw in my next box is I'm going to try and copy that picture of the Tower of London as best I can. So if you pause the video and do the same. I'm going to be honest, I've done a very questionable job. And I know you will be able to do much better. But still, I tried. So next job, write a sentence in there. So on there, I'm going to write, the fire gets very close to the Tower of London. Nice and simple. And bonus, it's already on the screen for you. So write that sentence down. So I have drawn my picture and written my sentence. So first 2 boxes are done. 3 more to go. So next we are on to Tuesday, the 4th of September, 1666. So unfortunately, on the 4th of September, St. Paul's Cathedral is destroyed by the fire. Some of you might recognise this building in London. This is St. Paul's Cathedral, but it had to be rebuilt. So this is what St. Paul's Cathedral looked like before it was burnt in the Great Fire of London. And then it was rebuilt like this one at a later date. So you could choose, you could draw the St. Paul's Cathedral like that, or you could draw it like that. So your next job is to draw St. Paul's Cathedral. So I'm back with my drawing of St. Paul's Cathedral. It doesn't look like the sturdiest of buildings, but again, I'm trying my best. So next job is to pause the video and write that sentence. St. Paul's Cathedral is destroyed by the fire. Okay, all done. So now I've got 3 done and 3 sentences, 2 more to go. So we are on to Wednesday the 5th of September 1666. And finally, there is a little bit of positive news. On Wednesday the 5th of September, the wind started to slow down and the fire started to spread less quickly. So that is something that we will come back to. But one of the reasons the fire spread so quickly is because it was so windy. But finally, on Wednesday the 5th of September, the wind slows down. So I'm going to draw a picture just like the one I've put up here. So there is my wind cloud slowing down a little bit. I am now going to write the sentence on to my sheet. So I'm going to write, the wind slows down. Okay, done. 1 more box to go. I'm sure yours will look a lot more beautiful than mine, so I'm excited to see yours. So we are finally on Thursday, the 6th of September, 1666. So the fire has been burning for 1, 2, 3, 4 days. We are now on to the 5th day. And hallelujah, the fire is put out. But it's not all good news, because lots of homes and buildings are destroyed. And if lots of homes are destroyed, it means that lots of people have been left without a home and are now homeless. So although it's good the fire is being put out, it is very sad news that lots of people have lost their homes. So it is up to you what you decide to draw in this last box. What I think I'm going to draw is fire with some water being sprayed onto it to show it being put out. Okay, there we go. So there are my flames with a bucket of water being thrown over them. So now I'm going to write for my sentence, the fire is finally put out. So there we go. I have now got my completed timeline of the Great Fire of London. So it burned for 5 days. Well, on the 5th day, it finally got put out. So it burned all day Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and was finally put out on Thursday after destroying much of London, ruining lots of people's homes and lots of important buildings. So I really hope you've enjoyed your first insight to the Great Fire of London. And I am excited to teach and learn some more about it as we carry on through this unit. See you later.